Alrighty, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and talk about Introduction to Solving Quadratics by Factoring. So one thing I want to note is this important definition here. It's called the zero product property, which says that if A times B is equal to 0, then A is equal to 0, or B is equal to 0, or both. And if you're having problems like understanding what this means, I even wrote it right here for you, so you can read that statement much more clearly, I guess you could say. So an example of this, so remember I said that A times B is equal to 0, right? This is a product here, because it says A times B. Now if I say if AB is equal to 0, and I say that A is equal to 3, so this means that this value here is 3 times my B, then how would I make this 0, right? So what can B be? What can this letter be to make this other side 0? Well, we can say that B is equal to 0, right? Because I can replace this B and say 3 times 0, which is equal to 0. And that's true, right? 3 times 0 is 0, so 0 is equal to 0. The left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, which is true. Okay? Now, if I say if AB is equal to 0 and B is equal to 3, then what is A? So that's just saying that, okay, well, here's my B, and B is equal to 3, so I do A times 3. And what is A? Well, A can be 0 because 0 times 3 is equal to 0. And that's true, right? The left-hand side here is equal to the right-hand side. The left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. Number 3, if A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 0 and AB is equal to 0, is the left-hand side equal to the right-hand side? Yes, because I'm replacing this A with 0, and I'm replacing this B with 0. And then the left or the right-hand side over here, I'm just rewriting, is this true? Well, this is true. 0 times 0 is 0, and then I'm just going to drop down that equal sign, and then I have the 0. 0 is equal to 0. That is true. Correct. Okay. Let's look at this example. Oh, I don't have the example written down here, huh? Okay, I'm going to go have to fix that after. But it is actually x times the quantity x plus 3. And the directions here says, with a partner, think of possible x values that will make the left-hand side equal to the right-hand side. So it should be equal to 0, actually. There you go. So x times the quantity x plus 3 is equal to 0. What possible x values can make the left-hand side equal to the right-hand side? Okay, well, I'm thinking if I put x is equal to 0, let's plug it in, right? I'm going to use this and plug it into here and here. So then I have 0 times 0 plus 3, and I'm going to rewrite the right-hand side, which is equal to 0. Okay, so I'm left with 0 times 3, and 0 times 3 is what? 0. So that means the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, so this is my possible value, x is equal to 0. That's one of my answers. Okay, what else can I do? Well, what about x is equal to negative 3? Right? So let's plug it in. So I have negative 3 times negative 3 plus 3, which is equal to 0. Negative 3 times, let's see, 0. Negative 3 plus 3 over here is 0. And I'm rewriting the right-hand side. Does the left-hand side equal to the right-hand side? Yes, it does. So these are my answers. Okay? Calculator method. Use your calculator and follow the steps. First of all, we're going to go ahead and turn on our calculator. So you should have a physical calculator with you. Okay? And we're going to still use this equation over here. This right here is an expression. This right here is an equation. So let's turn on the calculator, and then we're going to press the y equals button. It's going to be on the top left corner. Press that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to write the x times x plus 3, even with the parentheses. Don't forget the parentheses. So where's x? X is right here under the mode button. And then I'm going to put the parentheses, and I'm going to put x plus 3. Okay? And now it says, type in the equation. That's exactly what we did. Now we're going to press the graph button. Why am I pressing the graph button? It is because I want to take a look at what the equation or the function looks like. I want to look at what the function looks like. So this is our function. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press second and then graph, because I want to pull up the table, and you can see on the screen that this is a table, right? It says, looking at your table, which x values make the graph y equals 0? Okay, so I see that if I look at x is equal to 0, right, you can see that in pink, 0. If x is equal to 0, then y is equal to 0, right? So that's exactly what we have here. X is equal to 0, then y is equal to 0. So write that down. X is equal to 0. And then what other x value will make my y 0? Taking a look, we can see right there, -3. If we see x is equal to -3, then y is equal to 0. So I write that x is equal to -3. Okay, hopefully this is all coming together, because this is all in the form what? X comma 0, right? X comma 0. If a line that crosses the x-axis, and usually in the form x comma 0, is called a what? It's called an x-intercept or a 0. They are different words, but they mean the same thing, okay? Let's go ahead and do the algebraic method. It says, set only an expression with a variable that equal to 0. It must have a variable with at least one math operation, such as plus, minus, divide, or multiply. So if I use this again, this x times the quantity x plus 3 is equal to 0, what I can do is, since this is an expression, I can set this, okay, it has a variable, and I can equal that to 0. So I do x equal to 0, okay? And the next thing I have to do is I take this part of the expression, so this is an expression, right? This part over here of this expression, I can take that, and we can see that it's separated by an operation, which is a plus sign. So I do x plus 3 and set that equal to 0, and I'm going to do the algebraic way where I solve for x. I literally just solve for x. So I do subtract minus 3 on both sides, and I'm going to have x is equal to -3. This is my answer. This is my answer. There are two answers for this part of the problem, and that's exactly what we have here and also here. Okay? So hopefully this makes a lot of sense on why we're doing it, because we're going to go ahead and do more problems, but there are cases where we need a factor. So if you want, you can go ahead and take a look at this recap, pause the video, take a look at it, and then determine what you have to do. Okay, this is absolutely fantastic, because I don't... Apparently this didn't save the problems that I had here, but I'm going to go ahead and write them down. All right, so number one is x plus 6 times x plus 5, which is equal to 0. Okay, thinking about this, using the zero product property, again, the zero product property says that if AB is equal to 0, then A is equal to 0, or B is equal to 0, or both, right? So basically, what x values can make this equation 0? So this is already good for me, because look at that. I can see that this right here, this is an expression that has a variable and a constant that's separated by a plus sign, and that's the case for when we have x plus 5, right? All I got to do is I'm going to take this and set it equal to 0, because that's faster. X plus 6 is equal to 0. Subtract both sides by 6, and I get x is equal to -6, okay? And if I plug it in just to verify, okay, this is one of my answers. If I plug it in, so I have -6 plus 6 times -6 plus 5 is equal to 0. Is my left-hand side equal to the right-hand side? Well, this is negative 6 plus 6 is 0, and then negative 6 plus 5, that's just, negative 1. 0 times anything is just going to be 0, right? So if x is equal to negative 6 is the correct answer. Again, my goal here is what value makes the equation 0? Okay, so I've already got x plus 6 down. Let's do x plus 5. So x plus 5 is equal to 0. Subtract both sides by 5. X is equal to negative 5, right? So I'm going to go ahead and verify if this works, right? I'm going to plug in this into my equation. So I have negative 5 plus 6 times negative 5 plus 5. Does that equal to 0? Well, let's see. Well, negative 5 plus 6, that's just 1. And then negative 5 plus 5, that's just 0. So 1 times 0, anything times 0 is just 0. So that is true. I should put that there too. Okay. And so these are my answers. Number 2 says x plus 7 times x minus 4 is equal to 0. It's just the same thing, right? It's literally the same thing what we did for number 1. Number 1 was easy. Let's do number 2, which is exactly the same procedure. So I'm going to have x plus 7, which is equal to 0. Subtract both sides by negative 7. X is equal to negative 7. And then x minus 4 is equal to 0. Add both sides by 4. So I'm left with x is equal to 4. These are my answers, and you can go ahead and verify if you want. That's totally on you if you want to check how you're doing. Okay, let's go ahead and do number 3, which is absolutely a blank. So I have 3 times the quantity, x minus 5, times x minus 2, which is equal to 0. I have x minus 5 and x minus 2. So I do x minus 5 is equal to 0. Add both sides by 5. X is equal to 5. And then I have x minus 2 is equal to 0. Add both sides by 2. X is equal to 2. Now, you're probably wondering what do I do with this 3 over here? Well, you can do this. 3 is equal to 0. Is that true? No, these are not true. So you don't have to worry about that. You do not say x is equal to 3. You just say x is equal to 5. X is equal to 2. Okay? That 3 is equal to 0. A lot of people make that mistake and say that x is equal to 3. No, you can't do that at all. 3 is equal to 0. That is not true. Okay? Keep that in mind. Where are we? Number 4, which is, I guess, is number 5 on your paper. X plus 12 quantity squared is equal to 0. This whole thing, when we have 2 squared, that's the same thing as 2 times 2, right? X plus 12, this is my base. I can rewrite that as x plus 12 times x plus 12. And a lot of y'all make the mistake of just distributing and saying it's x squared plus 12 squared. That's wrong. Not what you should do. So what is this again? X plus 12 times x plus 12 is equal to 0. Well, they're the same thing, right? I'm just going to set one of them equal to 0. And then this is what I get. X is equal to negative 12. Okay? So all of these x's, it means that, okay, well, if this is negative 12, my y value is going to be 0, x-intercept, or 0. If this is negative 5, then that means that this is my 0 for this, part of the function or equation. And, that's an x-intercept, right? Alrighty, let's move on to number 6 on your paper. So I have b squared minus 3b minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, first of all, we need to stop, we need to think, we look at this, I'm like, oh, this is something we've already learned before. How do I factor, right? This is by factoring. I see 3 terms in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And since I have 3 terms here, is there a GCF? No, a is equal to 1 because there's an invisible 1 here. So I'll go ahead and start using that x method. So I have negative 4 minus 3, and I'm thinking negative 4 and 1. So I have b minus 4 times b plus 1 is equal to 0. And then I'm going to solve to figure out, okay, what is that solution? What is that x-intercept I'm trying to figure out? So I know for sure that's just going to be what? b minus 4 is equal to 0, add both sides by 4, b is equal to 4, b plus 1 is equal to 0, subtract both sides by 1, and I'm left with b is equal to negative 1. These are my answers. Okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at number 7. So x squared plus 8x minus 20 is equal to 0. And what do we notice? Well, we have 3 terms, right? 1, 2, 3. And that means I'm like, okay, is there a GCF? Well, there's a GCF1. A is equal to 1. So do your factoring. And then you're thinking, okay, what are the 2 numbers I'm thinking right now? How about 10 and negative 2. Okay, so I'm left with x plus 10, x minus 2 equal to 0. So you should see that x is equal to negative 10 and x is equal to 2. And I'm doing this in my head now. I'm just going a little faster. Well, I've been going a lot faster here, but I'm trying to skip a step now because I think you see the gist of what I'm trying to do here. Number 7, I have 2x squared plus 8x minus 64 equal to 0. All of these problems, I need you to make sure that all of these problems have to have something set equal to 0. Is this set equal to 0? Yes. How many terms do I have? Well, I see that there are 3 terms. And they're in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Is there a GCF? Yes, there is. I can see that there's a GCF of 2, so I write 2 times x squared plus 4x minus, what is this? 27? No, 32. That should be 32. Okay. So I have that. Now I'm going to go ahead and set that equal to 0. And then I'm here. I see there are 3 terms in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, and a is equal to 1. That invisible 1 is right there. So draw that x method, or draw the x. I put a negative 32 over here, positive 4, and I'm thinking, negative 8 and positive 4 can be my factors. So I write 2 times x minus 8 times 2, or sorry, not 2, x plus 4, set that equal to 0. Is 2 equal to 0? No, I can't use that. Is x minus 8 equal to 0? Yes, let's go add both sides by 8, and I have x is equal to 8. If I plug 8 into this over here, 8 minus 8 is equal to 0, which is true. Okay. And then let's see, x plus 4 equal to 0, subtract both sides by 4. And I'm left with x is equal to negative 4. So x is equal to negative 4 is my answer. X is equal to 8, my answer. And now I'm like, boom. Those are it. Okay, 8. Let's see. 8 is, or number 9. I have 2x squared minus x minus 21, which is equal to 0. So actually, before I say, how many terms are there? There are 3 terms. Is it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c? Yes, a is greater than 1. So, is there a GCF? No. So, I don't have to factor, but I can go ahead and just do negative 21 minus 1. And I'm thinking, let's see, negative... Oh, whoa, no. This is wrong. Because this is negative 21 times 2. So that's just going to be negative 42. And then negative 7 and 6 are good. So I write x minus 7 times x plus 6. And because there's a 2 here, divide both sides by 2. Does 2 go into 7? Does this go into 7? Well, no. It doesn't go in, or it doesn't fit in perfectly. It does go into 7, but doesn't fit in perfectly. You're going to have a decimal. I don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and just take that and swing it. So I have left with 2x minus 7. And then, does 2 go into 6 perfectly? Yes, 3 times. So I write x plus 3. Make sure to set that equal to 0. And then we can go ahead and proceed to solve. So I have this 2x plus 7, right? It has a variable. I can deal with that. So I have 2x minus 7, which is equal to 0. Add both sides by 7. 2x equals 7. And then am I done? No, because I have this coefficient of 2. So divide both sides by 2. x is equal to 7 over 2. You can leave it like that. If it needs to be reduced, you have to reduce it. X plus 3 is equal to 0. Subtract both sides by 3. X is equal to -3. And this is your other solution. Okay, what does a solution means? What value makes the equation true? What makes it the left-hand side equal to the right-hand side? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to number 9. Number 9 is 2n squared minus 5n equal to 12. Okay, what do we notice about this equation? I'll let you think about this for a bit. Okay. Well, we see that this right here is not 0. The right-hand side is not 0. So what do I have to do? I have to do some scoochy scooch, right? So I need to subtract both sides by 12. And I'm left with 2n squared minus 5n minus 12 equal to 0, which is exactly what I want, because I want to figure out what the value of n is that'll make my equation true. So let's see. We have 3 terms in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And is there a GCF? No. So that means I can go ahead and proceed with my x method, and considering that a is greater than 1, we need to use the swing method. So I have, let's see, -24 over -5. And I'm thinking -8 and 3. So write n minus 8 times n plus 3, which is equal to 0. And then I'm going to set that equal to 0. So I have n minus 8 equal to 0. Add both sides by 8. That's my answer, or one of them. Let's do the other one. N plus 3 is equal to 0. Subtract both sides by -3. N equals -3. That is also my other answer. And make sure you have to have all the answers. Otherwise, that you're partially correct. Number 10. Let's do number 10. We have 4x squared minus 4x is equal to 15. What do we notice? Well, this is not 0, right? So I'm going to go ahead and scoochy on the other side. So I'm left with 4x squared minus 4x minus 15. Is there a how many terms are there? There are 3 terms. I see it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Is there a GCF? No. So I'm going to proceed to using my x method. So 5 times 4 is 20, and then -4 on the bottom. So you should have, let's see, did I do something wrong? I did do something wrong. This should not be a 20. That should be -60. There you go. And then I put -10 and 6 here. So I write x minus 10, x plus 6. Did I use the swing method? I did not use the swing method. So I'm going to go back and fix that. Okay. So remember, we have this 2 here. So I divide both sides by 2. So you're left with n minus 4 and then 2n plus 3 equal to 0. So n is equal to 4, and then we can take a look at this. 2n plus 3, we subtract both sides by 3, and then n is equal to -3 over 2. Okay, these are your answers. All right, going back to this. So I use the swing method here because I have a coefficient greater than 4. Subtract both sides by 4. I am left with, okay, so I have to reduce here. So this is going to be x minus 5 over 2 times x plus 3 over 2. So you're left with x equals 5 over 2 and x is equal to -3/2. That's your answer. Okay. Number 11, this is our last problem. This is weird 4x squared minus 25, okay? Oh, wait, no, this is not 4x squared. This is 4x squared equal to 25. Okay, well, now what do? I want to scooch to the other side. So I have 4x squared minus 25, which is equal to 0. And what do I know is I have 2 terms. All of them are perfect squares, and it's separated by a multiplication sign. Or not multiplication, the minus sign, right? So taking the difference of two squares, look at my rule. It says that if you have two perfect squares separated by a minus sign, you would factor a difference of two squares. And that's just, you know, if you have something like this, you do a minus b times the quantity a plus b, right? So let's go back and do this. So this is just going to be, you know, what's something times something will give me 4, 2, 2. What's something times something is going to be x squared, x, x. And then something times something is going to give me a negative sign. So that's a positive sign and a negative sign. And something times something is going to give me 25, which is that. Now, I set it equal to 0. Got to do the math. 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. Subtract both sides by -5. And I'm left with 2x is equal to -5 over here. And I just divide both sides by 2. X is equal to -5 over 2. For the other one, doing the same thing. So this is going to be 5 over 2. And those are my answers. Alrighty. Hopefully this makes a lot of sense now. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email and I can respond back to you very, very promptly, or, respond to you promptly, I guess. Alright, bye-bye.